Good afternoon and welcome to our workshop on getting started with Mendeley. My name is Chris Stacy Bates and I'm one of the reference and instruction librarians, as are my colleagues who will also be participating in the workshop, Mike Bobb and Jeff Alger. I will be showing you how to import citations and documents into Mendeley and how Mendeley can help you organize those. Mike will show how to use the plugin for Word to help you use citations that you already have in Mendeley and easily put those into papers that you're writing. And Jeff will talk about the social groups aspect of Mendeley. So a few things about sort of the basic concepts of Mendeley. It's a cross-platform application for managing references and PDF documents that you can use in the literature review and writing portions of your research. So it can help you organize citations and PDF files. It will help you easily insert and format and even reformat citations to your papers as you write. You can also work with footnotes or endnotes and reference lists very easily. You can also share documents and discussions with other researchers through the group structure, and it's also set up to suggest other papers to you based on kind of similar reading patterns that they've found for other people reading some of the papers that you're reading. It's available in both desktop and web forms, which we'll be looking at today, especially the Mendeley desktop application. You can also use, for remote access, you can also use mobile apps for iOS and Android. So focusing mostly on the web and desktop versions, they have a lot of similarities. They're both set up to easily let you organize references into folders. You can read saved PDFs from within the applications and add sticky notes and comments within that interface. They have similar functions available, though in Mendeley Desktop and Mendeley Web they may appear in different places and give slightly different options. There is a sync button in Mendeley Desktop that you can use to harmonize the contents of the Mendeley Desktop program that resides on your own desktop or laptop computer with the web accessible version of your account in the cloud. Both versions let you view your full reference library and also let you view activity in any groups that you might set up. Advantages to the web library: you can obviously access it anywhere without needing to download an additional piece of software, and you just need to log in at mendeley.com. Although the desktop version does require installing some software on your own computer, you can still access your account from a different computer that has it downloaded. So it's still connecting to your content on the cloud rather than being only tied to one specific machine. And there are some more tools available to the desktop version, which is the reason that a lot of people who have tried both like to work within Mendeley Desktop. I kind of mentioned that there are some applications that need downloads along with this. Before the workshop, hopefully you received some information about how to install Mendeley yourself. And we've pre-installed everything you need on the lab computers. And if you didn't have a chance to install things on your own computers, or if you've got questions about that, we do have time during the hands-on portion of the workshop. And all three of us will be available for questions during those hands-on sections. So I'm going to talk about how you add references and documents to Mendeley. Again, you can do this either with Mendeley Web or Mendeley Desktop, and it lets you collect citations or PDF files or records that combine the two. So I'll demonstrate with Mendeley Desktop for now, and you'll have time to experiment with Mendeley Web if you want to as well. So The first thing that Mendeley Desktop does really easily is it lets you import PDFs that you might have saved on your computer so that you can access them through the structure of Mendeley and easily work with the citations and so forth. So that happens under the Add Files menu. And I apologize, this mouse is really slow at the instructor's station. So if you add files, that's looking for files that are already on your computer. And I've just saved a couple of things on the desktop here. So I can select a PDF file, open it, and it will show up when I have things sorted by most recent. Taking a look at that, it's going to take me into the PDF. And I can also view the citation information on it.
Should this be showing up on our...
It should be showing up on the middle monitor in between two stations. So for every two workstations, there's a monitor in between them.
Okay.
We must have missed a couple when we were getting the room set up.
Back up just a couple of steps.
Okay. So I was looking at adding files, which in Mendeley Desktop happens from the menu here at the upper left. Lets you look different places on your computer, select a single file at a time to load, and then puts the information in there. You might have noticed on the first one that I imported that sometimes when you're starting from a PDF file, it may not pull in automatically all of the descriptive information about that article. So in this case, I've got a version of the title with some formatting terms there. The authors and the abstract imported okay, and some of the other numerical information, but the journal name did not. So I'd want to make sure that I typed that in so that my information was complete for going to cite this article, that it would be ready to go for that. You can also add, if you've got a folder with a bunch of files in it, you can do that with the Add Folder option through Mendeley Desktop. This is one place where I wish the Mendeley folks had been more consistent, because if you choose Add Folder when you're in the web version, instead of letting you add a folder full of things to import, there it's creating a new folder within your own file structure, which you can do with Mendeley Desktop simply by clicking the Create a Folder button. Or you can select a folder that you've already got and add a new folder as a subfolder of that. You can also add files manually. So if you just got a printout or information in another window to copy and paste over, rather than a document to import, you can do it that way. And one of the handy things about using Mendeley Desktop for manually inputting things is that it has lookups set up for PubMed IDs, archive IDs, and the very popular DOIs. So, I thought I had a DOI copied here. Let me get that. Okay, I will type it. Oh, it's not taking it. There we go. Okay, so complete DOI, hit the lookup icon, and it finds the rest of the information about that article. What it's looking up, however, is not the full DOI database, but sort of Mendeley's own database of materials that other users have already input into sort of their shared search library. So if you're searching against information in Mendeley, that's what it's checking about. So far I've had better luck with DOIs, a little bit of luck getting matches for PubMed IDs or archive IDs, but you can definitely find items from archive or PubMed that no one else has added into Mendeley with those identifiers yet. So then you can also manually inputting things, edit any of this, save the record, and it will show up either in whatever folder you're in at that time, and then also in the All Documents folder. So some of these are some folders that I set up myself. Mendeley automatically creates folders for things like My Publications, Unsorted, and Recently Added and Recently Read are just automatically set up. And I can also choose, if I want to delete documents either completely or out of a specific folder. As I mentioned, the sync button here updates the web version and the desktop version with information that has been changed in one version or the other since you last used it. So if you delete something from one version and then click sync, it will delete it from the other version as well as it working to add things in. So another thing that might save you some time, it's still syncing. Well, I think it can do that in the background. Another thing that can save you some time is the bookmark that you can place in your bookmark bar for Save to Mendeley. And so how you would use that would be to go to a screen that shows some information about an article you're interested in. So I could do that here on a search results screen in the database Scopus. Hit the Save to Mendeley button. And there are 20 articles on this page of results. My total set of results for that search was over 400, but there's just 20 on this page, and it's the 20 on that page that Mendeley will find. Then I could choose to select specific articles from this set, but not everything. There we go. It took a little while for the check marks to show up. So I could, so I've saved those two in particular, or I could hit Save All, excuse me. And then ask you to open in Mendeley. For that, it definitely wants Mendeley Desktop, which I already have open. It's retrieving that. And so here is one of those recent citations added in. Okay, so you can also, with that Save to Mendeley button, look at, get rid of the overall list. You can use it when you're looking at a PDF on screen. And so instead of taking the step to save it directly to the computer, you can save it to Mendeley. And in this case, it's found a pretty good amount of information. And because I've got, I'm already logged into Mendeley Desktop, it's going to ask me which folder I want to put this in out of my own folder set. So I'm going to put it in the test records folder under the sub folder number 1. Open that in Mendeley. And look in that folder. There's my new weed science citation. Now, depending, when you're importing either a citation or a PDF, depending on the source, you might definitely want to take a look at the information that got imported and see if it's complete or not. Sometimes when you go to import a PDF in particular, it doesn't come along with the descriptive information ready to go in the separate fields. Other times, if you, and quite a bit of the time, when you're importing a citation, it won't automatically bring the PDF along with it, although you can save that, add it separately, and you can, I believe it's under Edit. Maybe it's Tools. Oh, under Tools, yes. You can check for duplicates in your list, and it will try to merge. So if you've got the PDF file in one spot and the description in another spot, it will hopefully stick those together and give you the best of both worlds. Okay, so that's pretty much the basics of getting material into Mendeley. So now it's your turn on the handouts, and those are on the table at the back if you missed those on your way in. There are some suggestions for the types of things you might want to try out in adding citations and documents into Mendeley. So give it a try. Also, let us know if you've got questions about downloading things. And we'll kind of come back together at a little bit after 3:40, and then Mike will talk about using the Cite-O-Matic to put your citations to the best use. Okay, so give it a try.
Okay, we're ready to move on to the next part. So hopefully everybody has at least 3 papers in their library, if not more. I am just going to talk for like really short, just a couple minutes. I want to show you probably your favorite part. For most of you, you want to use Mendeley so that when you go to write, it's really easy to add citations to your thesis or your journal article, right? So I'm going to show you how to do that real quick, and then I just have a few things for you to do so that you can practice adding your own citations. I got to open up Word. This mouse is really bad, so that's why we move so slow across the screen. It's unbelievable how bad this is. So I'm just going to do a quick demonstration and show you what's really cool about Mendeley. So if you're writing your paper, oh, there it goes. Wow, it's like a 3-second delay. And I'm writing my sentence number 1. And I want to cite this sentence. If I go up here to references, don't follow along with me because we're going to have you do the same thing. And I just go insert citation. See right here it says Mendeley Cite-O-Matic. Don't confuse this with the citations over here. If you use Word, this is kind of Word's thing. And it automatically opens up this pop-up, which connects to your Mendeley library. And you can start searching your personal Mendeley library by title, author, or whatever. And we are logged into Chris's account. I'm just going to randomly hit a letter, and it immediately starts showing you results, even just one letter. So let's say I searched more, and this was the paper I wanted to cite. You just click it, and you hit OK, and it sticks it in there. It's super easy. And then I go along.
But it uses whatever citation you've chosen over in the other box. Does that say?
I'll show you.
Okay.
I'm going to add another citation on my second sentence. And just to show you how easy this is, I'm going to add 2 citations to the same sentence, hit OK, and it sticks them both on there. Okay? So now I'm done with my paper, or not even done. I would do this personally almost right away when I start writing a paper. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit Insert Bibliography, and it's going to automatically stick all my citations right there. So now the reason I would do it right away is now I go back a day later and I start working on it again and I write a third sentence. I'm not very prolific in my 2 sentences a day is my limit. I'm going to hit insert another citation, and it's going to add it and automatically update in the bibliography. Okay? Now, the default on here is the APA style. So most of you probably will not be using that, and you have a specific journal you're going to be publishing to or a specific citation style to use. You can then go to more styles, and there's a listing here. But if it's not there, you can go to get more styles, and I would just search for your journal article or title of the journal that you want to publish in or the citation style you want to use. There are over 8,000 citation styles, so most of them are in there. And if I wanted to use Society of Microbiology, I start searching, I choose it. All I have to do is hit install. Then I go to this install tab, and I select this one. I hit use this style, and I'm done, and it updates it. Yeah?
So my big problem is that of sharing documents. So one person I have a different then I use EndNote. And EndNote is fine as long as you keep them all in the bibliography. But if you ever change to code, or sometimes you go through it and it's trying to find the journal. You've got a different library than the other person has. Does Mendeley have the same problem? And can I find the code to fix the code?
I did not know that about EndNote. See, and that's really weird because Mendeley, Zotero, and a bunch of other of these things, these citation styles, they actually aren't owned by Mendeley. There's an organization out there, it's like citation.org or something like that. And they actually keep these updated for many different citation managers. So they all pull from the same place. I don't know how to answer your question exactly if it's using different code. I have come into the problem. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't heard of that problem before. Yeah.
Can you make your own citation format?
You can. I liaison with the agronomy department, and somehow the American Society of Agronomy, I learned of this about a year ago, all of their journals, for some reason, all the citations are wrong. I mean, with the citation managers, the code behind it is wrong, and that's how I know that you can go in and change the code, but it was far beyond my abilities, so I had somebody else figure it out. It looks like it's supposed to be easy, and on the handout I actually have links to where to go to learn how to do that. And also you're supposed to be able to email in suggestions to the citation organization if you find errors, and they're supposed to update them. So that's basically all I wanted to show you for this part. And then in the handout, I have some 4 or 5 or 6 steps of things for you to try. Basically just the same thing I did here to make sure before you leave that you know how to use the basics of it in this way. I don't know. I've never had to do this. Okay, I'll figure it out. And I'll send you an email. And hopefully by then tomorrow, I can't remember. No, that's a good question. I want to know. That's really weird. That's the first time I've come across it. And that's pretty good. Journal, right? Yeah, I'll look into it.
Okay, we got one more thing to show you. It'll be really fast, and there's nothing to play around with on that one, unless you want to. But basically, EndNote, one of the things with EndNote, it has a social media aspect to it, and through the use of groups and also sharing papers with other people and collaborating And also, if you're having trouble, you can do a search in Mendeley and find a lot of people that have had the same problems doing things, and they figured out a way to do it. So it's really pretty good. So you can look at your groups and create groups and stuff from either Mendeley Desktop or Mendeley Web. And what I got, oh, this mouse. When you open up your Mendeley Web, over on the side here is a thing that says groups. And if you click on that, it will show you groups that you have joined. I gotta type something in here first. Forgot to bring this up. The whole idea behind the groups I gotta concentrate. Okay, now we're in. But with groups, there's basically 3 different types of groups, and they operate in slightly different ways, but the content is the same. It's you save papers or collaborate with others in a group, either in a public group, an invitation-only group, which is like semi-public, or in a private group, which if you're working with a small group of people and you want to share papers back and forth, you can do that in a private group, and nobody else can see it. So that's basically what the groups are. So there's 3 types. There's open, there's invite only, and there's private. Open groups, like I said, are open to anybody. You'll see them on Mendeley when you look at the groups, and I'll show you in just a second. And they'll say, join this group, and anybody can join it. Anybody can post papers to it. Any of the open groups or the invite-only groups you can follow without joining. Just want to look at it, you just click follow this group, and then anytime anyone posts anything or makes a comment to it, it'll show up in your news feed. And you get all that without. The only thing you can't do if you don't join is you can't actually post papers yourself that you find interesting in terms of that group. That's an open group. Invite only works the same way, only there'll be a link. Instead of saying join this group, it'll say ask to join this group. That's an invite-only one. Otherwise, it looks just the same. You can still follow it. You can look at anything that's in that group. You'll get it in your news feed if you just follow it and you don't have to join it. The other one is a private group, and those are designed for small groups of people that are collaborating on a project. With a basic account in Mendeley, your small group of people is limited to three people. So it's a very small group of people. If you want to get a larger group, then you upgrade your free subscription to a paid one, and then you can get like 25 people in a group, I think. Goes up. And you get more storage space, too. You can find groups in a number of ways. The easiest way is to go to the web. You have to be in the Mendeley web in order to find them. And you can look for them. It shows up just by clicking on that tab that says groups. And you can just type in a word, and you can see what shows up. Now, the only thing with the groups is anybody can create a group. You can create a group, you can create a group, I can create a group, but we can all call it the same thing. So there'll be 3 groups that look exactly the same. So the only way that you can really look at the groups and tell you whether or not it's something you're interested in joining is see what activity there is. Because there's some groups that are on Mendeley that nobody's posted anything or made a comment on since 2013, 2012. So some groups are really active, some are not very active at all. Some groups have 1 member and 1,500 papers, and other groups have 300 members and 20 papers. So, and I'll show you how you can see all that. As I said, anybody can create a group. You just go into it and you can create a group either in the web version or in the desktop version. You name it, you set your preferences for it, and you add keywords to it so people can find it when they do a search for it, and tags, not keywords. And you set whether you want it to be open, invite only, or a private group. The main thing with the private groups is you can post any paper, a PDF of any paper, even if it's still in copyright. You can post it in that group because nobody can see it except your small group of people. So it's kind of like handing it to each other. So that's an overview of groups. So what do they look like? You go in, I clicked on, Chris is signed in here. So the groups that she's a member of will show up here. And if you go to the desktop, they show up right here under groups. Not very much there. Anyway, that's where they show up. And if you want to create a group, you just go down here and you say create a group. If you want to do it in the web, it's kind of the same thing. There's a button up at the top that says create a group, and you create a group. You can browse disciplines, and what that does is kind of lets you know what kind of activities are taking place in certain disciplines. That doesn't really give you a good idea of the groups, but you can click on things like biological sciences, look at fish, and you can see these are how many people are doing stuff with that same topic heading. And you can break it down even farther, but we're not going to. Otherwise, you can just do a search for groups up in this box here and just say quantum physics. And you can see there's 451 groups that have either the word quantum or quantum physics or something to do with it in there. And that's an awful lot of them. But if you look over on the side here, it will tell you how many papers people have posted to that group. That gives you an idea of how active it is and how many members there are. It's like this one, it's got 34 members, 1,284 papers, so that's a lot. But if you click on it, you wait for it to open up, and you can see the group activity. There's people that have posted fairly recently in this group, so it's a more active group. But there's other ones you'll look at, and people haven't posted for quite some time. And again, that's a product of anybody can create the group. And if nobody joins it or does anything with it, then it just kind of sits there. Over here is where you find out whether it's an open or an invite-only group. This one says ask to join the group. You click on that. What it does is it sends a message to their Mendeley account saying so-and-so wants to join your group, and they approve you or they say, no, we don't want you in. I have no idea why somebody would say, no, we don't want you in, but I don't know. Maybe they will. If it just says join group, that means it's an open group and anybody can join it. You just click on it and boom, you're in. And if you just want to follow it, you just click on follow the group and you'll get that stuff. Anytime anybody posts anything, it will show up in your feed, which is available on the web version of Mendeley. And here's the things that people have posted recently. So, just only got one group. So that's why. And that's groups. Now, a lot of what we've been talking about today, whoops, just a second. I went to the feed. I don't like being in the feed for this part. We went kind of fast on a lot of this stuff. And if you go down into Mendeley at the bottom of the web, there's help guides, videos and tutorials on all kinds of things. I got to do it one more time. For some reason, if you're a member of the Mendeley for Librarians group, this page always comes up first. So if you click on the help guide, this is what you'll get. And it gives you brief little tutorials on how to use the desktop, how to use the web, mobile applications, either Android or Apple, citation plugins, groups, private groups, and then the citation editor. So if you want to create your own style, you can do that. And then there's lots of tutorials and video tutorials too. So even though this did actually go for almost an hour and a half. There's still a lot more that you can learn just by clicking on those help guides, video tutorials, and things like that. There's lots of them in here. So otherwise, that's it. If you want to stick around, we got the room for another 15 minutes, and we can answer questions. We have an evaluation sheet in the back that we will pass out to you. And just give us your comments on the workshop, because we are always trying to improve it. So otherwise, thanks for coming.